We're on. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
Episode of Sexually Speaking, where we are celebrating all things sex and the sex of everything with unconventional conversations to unfuck your life. How would that be? To
Wicked
have an
awesome, dude.
I am one of your hosts, Keisha Clark, and I am here today with the amazing, lovely, divine, delicious, incredible. Oh my gosh, I can talk adjectives here. Rhonda Burns. Good morning.
Hello, everybody. I'm in a really goofy mood, which is so much better than 24 hours ago. I'm just going to say.
Right.
Ooh.
Amazing what a difference a day can make. So,
Right?
wow.
Oh my gosh. Whew.
Yeah.
And speaking of today's topic, before we dive in, yeah, I'm totally allowed, right? We're totally allowed to
Absolutely.
be where we're at, but we'll get to that because I didn't always feel that way. So there you go.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
How you be today, lovely?
I'm good. There's so much going on, and I perceive that, like, for a lot of us, there's a lot going on. So I wonder how and what contribution can this conversation be, and what contribution can we be, and how can we be even more of an invitation to more ease with having the courageous conversations and really speaking up for ourselves and really allowing our curiosity to take us into what that can create
Mm-hmm.
with the space of allowance. Yeah. So speaking of today's topic, are you allowed? Right? Are you allowed? And you could just like fill in a blank there. Are you allowed to have fun, have joy, have sex, have money, have fun with your business, have a great relationship? Are you allowed? And some of the things that Rhonda and I notice is that we're kind of not. That's not really a popular modus operandi. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, thank you. And if you're joining us live, or if you're listening to or watching the replay, thank you. And Rhonda, would you like to say a few words about how fabulous you are? Would you like me to?
Am I allowed? Because then I hear all the like, who does she think? No, totally. Down and dirty, quick and easy. Let's see. I'm an illuminator. I'm an activator. I'm a perspective shifter. I like to stir the pot. I like to have a good time. I like to laugh. There's so many things in the world that are significant and difficult and have weight and density to them. And I like to infuse the light aspect in order to affect the change. So that's it in a nutshell. I'm a coach and a facilitator and a radio show host and a lover and a giver and I'm allowed to change it every 10 seconds if I want to. There you go. How about you, Miss Keisha? Boom. Take that.
And there it is, folks. I love that. So can I just like be what you're being, a little bit of what you're being?
You're totally loud.
Okay, cool.
Totally.
I'm allowed? Oh my God.
You're totally loud. Would you like to add anything to that? What else you got? Come
I
on.
love that. Well, okay, so my name is Keisha Clark. I'm also a radio show host. I'm an intuitive medium, facilitator, coach, transformation agent, and I actually like to call myself Living Well Empowerment Agent. The name of my radio show is Living Well, WEAL, where we talk about all things to do with the willingness to embody abundant living. Mm-hmm. So sex, of course, probably wouldn't have anything to do with that.
No.
We're not allowed to have, right? Not allowed. And so what I do is I've been playing with this combination of really adding more of my work that I do as an intuitive medium, and then bringing in the facilitation aspect to really be present with people, identify where things are not working, and then get to the juicy stuff about what they actually have the capabilities and capacities to do, be, choose, and have to change what isn't working. So, and we do that with we do that kind of with an entourage of invisible beings, as well as our own selves and our own bodies, and it's awesome. It's like the more I'm playing with this, the more fun I'm having, the more ease is happening, and it's just, I resisted this for a long time because you weren't allowed.
Correct.
I couldn't really see any indication in the world that it was allowed, that we do this, so different from what the formula and the strategies and the norm is supposed to be. And I'm nothing like what we're supposed to be. So if that wasn't already blatantly obvious.
Right?
Now the secret's out. So how much fun can we have not being allowed?
Totally. And I'm getting this hit to just housekeeping. So if you're live with us today, thank you. So grateful to have you here. At the bottom of your screen, if you'll roll over the bottom of the screen, there's a Q&A panel and there's a chat panel. If you would like to ask Keisha and I anything, you can either send it privately, or if you don't care who sees it, then you can certainly pose or ask that there. But I would ask, is there anything specific that's up for you or has been up for you that still might be a little sticky for you, that you either weren't allowed to be, do, say, have, create, whatever, or you felt that way? Yeah, like just if there's anything up for you that we can address or clear, that's what we'd like to choose. Otherwise, we're just going to go play and see where it takes us, and whatever comes in, comes in. And we would just like to honor you if there's anything specific you'd like for us to address. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. We do this weird thing called following the energy, which most people are not allowed to do. Because that's weird.
Not okay, yes.
It makes you weird, right? So obviously Rhonda and I really have no compunctions about being weird or being judged as weird. And it is Tuesday. That might change by Tuesday afternoon. I don't know. But it wasn't always that way, kind of like you said, Rhonda. So do you want to kind of bring us into this "Are you allowed" conversation?
Oh, wow. Gosh, this is such a really big topic, and we literally have like less than 55, or we've got 52 minutes left. So I'll speak for myself. I know for me growing up, I didn't realize how aware I really was until now, looking back with what I know and the tools that I have, the information that I'm tapped into, how aware I really was. And this is not making my mom or dad or anybody in my life wrong. They did the best they could with what they had, but I very much felt like it wasn't okay. I was not allowed to have a voice, to use my voice, to express my voice, to be me. Like, it was not safe to be me. And so those of you who know me, I'm really expressive. I'm really intense. I'm really out there. I'm very energetic. And so imagine growing up not feeling like it was allowed to be you. So what did we do with that? Well, we fucking bastardize it, and we shut it down, and we lock it away, and we do really stupid things out of this. I'll speak for myself, just this escalation of all this repressed stuff. It comes out in volcanic ways. And a lot of this was not even spoken, right? I was aware of the unsafe space that it was to be me. So I'm just going to ask that all of you that, whether this makes sense to you or not, all of the places and spaces that any of you have or have not acknowledged that you felt unsafe to be you, that you were not allowed to be you, that you were not allowed to use your voice, you were not allowed to express yourself in any way, shape, or form. I'm just going to acknowledge all of that now. I'm going to ask all of you just to feel what you're feeling, to wherever that takes you, whatever thought, whatever recollection, memory. It's okay. Okay? We don't have to make it wrong. We don't have to judge it. We don't have to berate or beat anybody up for what they did or didn't do to us. Let's just acknowledge, okay, I feel this way, or I felt that way. Let's just breathe into that space. Just acknowledge what you're perceiving. And I'm going to ask you to lower your barriers. Just push them down if you have to. Just drop them. Drop them like a hot potato. And just be with whatever you're feeling right now. And just know that you are okay, that it is okay. And if you'd like to just ask, what's what is in this for me today? What information is here that I can play with? How curious am I willing to be about what's right about this? What's right about me? What's right about fill in the blank? Yeah? So take
That's
another deep breath. Blow everything out. Now, more space? Yeah. I have more space in my body. How about you?
lots
Cool.
more space.
Cool.
And I wonder, I know for me, for a few moments there, I was super aware of my 2-year-old self and my 5-year-old self and my 7-year-old self. As you were talking about the things that went on when you were little bitty, you know, how much of that we're just organically vibrant, you know, energy when we're children, most of us, many of us, and relative to who our parents are and what families we chose to come play with. I think anywhere between the ages of 2 and 5, for most of us, we've already been entrained to turn it down really, 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 really drastically, because we're too much, because we're inappropriate, because you're just not allowed to make noise, to move around, to be that bodacious, auspicious, vibrant energy, you know, and be bubbly and be curious. And so for all of those experiences, it can be very difficult to actually have a sense that you might truly be allowed, that it might actually be okay to explore really anything to do with you. So then when we're talking in sexually speaking terms, you know, then when we get into the areas of relationship, pleasure, certainly that creates massive traffic jam, if not a train wreck altogether, for many of us. So I know there are certain points in my life that I could say that train wreck happened, and a lot of it was around my resistance, or I think I could say it resulted from this sort of conflict between my desire and my curiosity for what else could I play with? What else could I find here? What if I dipped my toes in this water, you know? And then all of that sort of backlash of, no, you just can't go there. You are not allowed to do that. And so I wonder, what do we know about this energy of not allowed? And would you be willing to acknowledge that?
Ooh, yes.
What do we know about it? First thing for me that comes up is I know it's a lie.
Yep.
How about you?
Absolutely. And for those of you who may be familiar with access consciousness, Keisha and I play in that world a great deal. It's simply a modality, a set of tools that assist you in unlocking and changing any area of your life that you desire. And there's a tool that's taught early on is light or heavy. So if something lights you up, if it makes you smile or happy or just feel expanded and feel happier, that's a lightness. If something contracts you, makes you furrow your brow, is dense, doesn't make you feel good, that's a heaviness. It's a contracted. So if something is true for you, it's usually light. Something is heavy for you, it's usually not for you. It's a lie. And so when you say that, Keisha, like, what do I know about this? It's a load of crock of shit. That's what I know. Light, hello. Like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah, like how much of this invention, really, you know, because somebody kind of made up that, oh, you can't do that. So like all the rules that we have in our modern world.
There it is. Holy shit.
They're made up, right? And most of these rules came from things that occurred that at some point someone decided or concluded that it shouldn't be that way. Most likely because it made those someones uncomfortable and they didn't have a sense of how to respond to those energies. So they created and invented this reason and justification for this rule that was put in place. Right. Now, we are in no way saying that there should be no laws and that, that isn't what this conversation is, right? Okay, just for anybody whose brain went to the, you have to have laws and you have to have blah, blah, blah. Yes, of course, we all have things we agree upon to run our societies and our cultures and our families, yes. And this is really more about the it's inappropriate to laugh out loud in public kind of thing. It's inappropriate to have a healthy sexual appetite. It's inappropriate to want to hug people you don't know, things like this that became these, whether it's under a cultural rule or practice, or just you don't do that in public kind of thing. Yes, right. There are some things it's really not great idea to do in public. I will say I have certain things I won't do in public, and there are other things that really, it's like, really? You really? So oftentimes I see a lot of this played out with children. Yeah. I was at a restaurant the other day, and there was a very small child, and this group of people had come to have a birthday party at the restaurant. And they brought this little boy who's probably 2 at the most. I mean, he's little bitty. He's still, working on he hasn't quite graduated to sippy cup yet. He's still got the bottle that they hand him. But he's mobile. He's very, very able to move around. And it wasn't his birthday. So he had to be there with all these adults who were doing their birthday thing. But of course, he's a kid. And, in a restaurant, oh my God, there's all kinds of people. There's all kinds of noises. There's all kinds of smells. There's all kinds of tables and stuff on the floor to go see.
Overload.
Exactly. Music is blaring. I mean, so I'm watching him and he's like bouncing around. Okay. And this, there was a man who was sort of assigned to watch him apparently. And it was very curious to me. He would kind of let him do his thing for a few minutes, and then he would decide he had to it was almost as though this man was functioning from, I have to show people that I'm disciplining, that I've got this under control kind of thing. And then he would go over and he would be really rough with this little boy. And he would kind of jerk him up by the arm and kind of toss him back into the booth seat. And the little boy, for the most part, he was just really kind of bouncing, he was rebounding really well. But it was a very interesting thing to observe this child who was just so vibrantly, boisterously like, hello, look at me, say hi to me, I want to play, what you got there? Right. And this person, this adult, who was very obviously buying into what it was supposed to be as an adult, was just really not able to be present with this child in a way that they could both really have a joyful experience. And I thought, how many of us, that's kind of our introduction, we're allowed to be cute and funny as long as we're 2 years old. And then, if we go out in public, all bets are off,
Right.
But nobody gives us this memo, right? And they're fairly impossible to uphold anyway. So those are those we have to make rules about this. Well, how many of these rules are total bullshit?
Yeah, who says that the rule makers get to make who the fuck says?
Right?
Yeah. And it's funny as you were talking, it's not funny, but what popped while you were talking, Keisha, is the cumulative effect, right? So It's usually not a one and done thing. It's usually the accumulation of time after time. No, you can't do that. No, you're not allowed. Sit down. It's the cumulative effect. So whatever that is that wants to be spoken to, I'm going to acknowledge it. And all of the accumulated abrupt, unkind, hard, mean, all of that I'm tapped into right now, and all of you that are still wearing that, still holding that, still hosting that, still keeping that, still maintaining that, and allowing it to play out in your life today, right now, would you be willing to lay it down? Don't think about it. Don't try to understand it. Don't try to disassemble it and look at it and kick it around. Lay it down. Would you be willing to lay it down? And just choose, okay, yeah, I'm laying it down. If there's anything in it for you to know and to pull the wisdom from it, then it will come to you with ease. But this constant, like, perpetual repeated looking at it and feeling bad about it and, oh, woe is me, and all of that shit, like, just lay it down. It is the choice to take the easy road, to take the simple road. And I'm going to invite you to know that you're allowed to do that, friends. You are allowed to make this easy for you if you choose. Yeah. Holy moly. Whoo.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So it couldn't be a sexually speaking conversation. Well, it could, but I mean, technically, there's no rule.
There's no rules here. No rules. Except that we got an hour. That's the only rule.
That's the only parameter. So this is like our taster, our intro conversation. So when we look at how this shows up later on in the various areas of our lives, for a lot of people that I work with and know and observe and have experienced in my own life, for a lot of us, it actually kind of trickles into so many of our social areas and experiences. And I'm going to start with pleasure. Are you allowed to have pleasure? Is for me, it's sort of one of those fundamental pieces that I notice if we're not allowing ourselves to have pleasure, if we've bought into the rule that you're not allowed to have it, like outside of certain very specifically defined situations, that then it's not allowed. And so what does that create in our businesses, in our job or our businesses? You know, if you're an entrepreneur or if you're in a W-2 position or both, what does that create in your business, in your work life? What does that create in your home life? What does that create with your family? What does that create with your friends and perhaps your playmate, your lover relationship? What does that create with your kids? What does that create with the way you relate to the world if you're not allowed to have pleasure? Wow.
Holy smokes, that hurts.
That's painful, yeah. How much energy does it require for us to shut that much of ourselves down?
Holy
to
crap.
function at like 1/10 of our natural capacity, if that much. So I want to invite everyone who's watching this, whenever you're watching it, whenever you've found this conversation, I want to invite you to begin to play with the question, what if I am totally allowed? What if I require no permission beyond my own to have pleasure in my life? Wow.
And everything that doesn't allow for that, can we please just choose in whatever way, shape, or form you do to let go of whatever doesn't have you knowing that for yourself?
Yeah. Everywhere you're letting the not allowed be real and true for you.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to choose beyond not allowed? And what if we removed the not? Yeah. So how much of the not living are you trying to do that is so starkly contrast and really conflicting what is innately, organically you as an infinitely potent creator? And how much could you be creating if you were allowing yourself to be receiving the pleasure of living? Wow. So for a lot of us, I think the word pleasure is one of those words that there's rules attached to. Like, pleasure has to be something sexual. Right. Okay. So certainly I desire for everyone that they experience pleasure in their sexual experiences. I totally desire that. And I would like to also bring up that the possibilities of pleasure outside of copulation and what we refer to as sexual behavior or sexual experiences one of the things we play with here on this show and within the work of Sexually Speaking and the sex of everything is the energy of sex. The energy that sex is way beyond any particular behavior or any definition. What Rhonda and I are aware of is that energy is actually so much more of the energy of what life and living is made of, way beyond copulation. It includes the things we do when we strike curious poses, so to speak, and it goes way beyond that, okay? So what could pleasure be for each of us beyond and in addition to the things that we do with a lover, or the things that we do if we're going to self-pleasure, which I would love to have a conversation about self-pleasuring. And
we will.
That can make people squeamish. And are you allowed? That would be a great "Are you allowed?" So, like, what other pleasure? What can we bring? How and what are some ways that we can bring pleasure into all of the areas of our life? So what comes up for you, Rhonda?
Oh, I'm having to broadband everything out because the download. So, and I was taking notes for those of you, the note taker here. Yeah. First of all, I think all of the decisions, conclusions, judgments, all of the projections on the word pleasure, everything that comes up around the word pleasure, can we please now collectively take a really deep breath in, blow out, and let go anything that's attached to that word for you, until you get to a space of it being, okay, it's a word, pleasure, so truth, like pleasure, okay, cool. Like when you said it, I totally smiled and lit up, but that was not always the case for me, because I've done a lot of work around all of this stuff, right? And what I wanted to share was my entire life, after about the age of probably 9 or 10, I fell into line. I got into line. I was conditioned really well to be the good girl and to do what my parents asked or told me to do. And it wasn't until later in life where I actually got the memo and it hit home that, holy shit, I'm not just here to earn a paycheck, raise a family, and die. Like, I got the memo that I actually am in human embodiment to enjoy this life, to have pleasure, to have ecstasy, to experience bliss if I choose. Like, it is up to me to experience all that is here. And I can either choose it from a pleasurable space or a really shitty space. And I've felt both of them. And I like pleasure a whole lot more. So for all of you who have not actually, maybe you've received the memo, but you ain't got it yet, I'm going to invite you to get the memo. This life is actually set up and can be total and complete pleasure if you choose it. It's just choice. Now, one step further is, my question to you is, what is pleasurable for you? Like, what is pleasure? And for those of you who may go into a space of overwhelm, do silos. Okay, if you want to chunk out like your romantic relationship, if you've got one, or your business or your professional life, you can go to family, you can go to yourself, you can go to, whatever it is, like chunk it out and just work within that. And then when you get that flow going, you create momentum, then you can go into the next silo if you'd like. Or if you're one to just go all in, like, cool, what's pleasure for me? Yesterday, I took my body, it's Hades hot here in Texas, like
yes,
fucking balls hot, like, oh my God. And so, but my body wanted to move, and usually we'll walk, and it's just hot. Like, the pavement is cooking. And so I took my body swimming yesterday, and the pleasure that I receive from putting my body in the water and just doing my strokes, just doing I love to do the crawl. I can feel my shoulders and my back and my legs, the flutter kicking. And like, it is so pleasurable for me to be in the water. But if I hadn't actually asked what is pleasurable for me and then take the action to do it, like, how would I know? So that's what came up when you were talking, Keisha. So we'll put it in the email as follow-up for you guys. But what is pleasure for you? Yeah. And anything that comes up that if you write it down or you think it and you hear oh, but I'm not allowed, or I wasn't allowed. We're going to just put a line through that item. You are allowed. Okay. You're putting a line through not allowed. You were totally allowed to think about whatever the hell you want to think about, to choose whatever you want to choose, to act however you want to act. It is simply choice. Okay, so I'm giving you permission to strike through the not allowed piece today. So
You're officially notified.
You're officially notified.
We have declared ourselves the allowance queens.
Yes.
So we can absolutely give you
in the Q&A. Food is pleasure right now. Awesome. How about whenever? Yeah.
Yeah, like, and that's a great way great place to start. And what I was going to offer you too is, what if you ask your body as well? I know we all have things we like to do, and oftentimes the things we like to do come from our points of view, and like, we've done this before, it was fun, and sometimes we're doing things and we're not actually including our bodies. And of course, talking about sexually speaking, Rhonda and I both being body workers that we be, we're big on including bodies, and we also know that our bodies can actually offer us more awareness and information. So with food, great place to start. Like, what is it about the food? Because I love me some good food, honey.
Oh, I'm an eater. Can you tell? I'm an eater.
Food sex. Woo woo. Yeah. An upcoming class, no less. When you are eating the food, when you're preparing the food, when you are even just noticing the food, through the aroma, even before you get to look at it, maybe, like, what goes on for you, and everything that is pleasurable about it, everything you like about it currently, would you be willing to allow that to expand even more? And I'm not saying you have to have a foodgasm, and if that occurs, how cool is that? And what if it's just about seeing what more could you be receiving? How much more could you be enjoying it? Not because you have to, just really about kind of playing with the discovery process. And then, of course, when we put it in our mouth, when we're bringing it to our mouth, the whole, like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Food has so many facets, right? The appearance, the aroma, the texture, whether it's a hot item or a baked good or a pudding or something,
savory or sweet,
so many different consistencies and textures and beautiful colors. And so it really is one of the fun, it covers multi-sensory satisfaction and pleasure. And so what if you allowed yourself to play with that?
I got to stop you and just interject here, because all of the food Nazis that have been put into place are speaking up like, I'm sorry, food is not allowed to be pleasurable. Like, that's all I can hear as you're talking. So all of you who have either instituted yourself or bought somebody else's institution that food is not allowed to be pleasurable, that it is, there's a lot of structure and form around food, and what types and how often and how much, and organic, all of the rules of food that have been instituted through all the lifetimes, all the spaces, all the places, all the dimensions, and everything else I'm not going to mention because it would blow your freaking minds. How about we just all wave at it like, I see you, I hear you, I'm aware of you, and you don't get to choose anymore? What could food pleasure be for you? What could it do for you in your body? What could it show you? Okay, resume, please. Sorry, I wanted to come
I'm loving that. I'm loving that.
Wow.
So it's a great place to start, right? Or it could be. Would it be for you? Play with that. And if food is like, if there's like a whole lot of stuff in your world about food and it can't be fun for you right now, what if you actually played with going out into nature, if you like nature, and go to a nursery, go to a plant place, and what if you were to just walk the aisles of the different plants and touch the different leaves and notice the textures of the leaves or the petals of the flowers, and some of them that have a nice scent that you like, jasmine or hyacinth or roses, different flowers. What if you were to allow yourself to just be present with those plants and receive the pleasure of being with the plants? And I wonder what that could create for us, for each of us, if we were willing to play with that. If you don't really have a space that you can get into nature, or a place, you know, a nursery in an easy distance to you, from you, what if you just went into to wherever, like if there's a park, if there's trees along the sidewalks, you know, the different textures of the bark on different trees, the different textures of different leaves, whether they're on the tree or whether they've fallen on the ground. There's different texture, there's different shape, there's actually a different scent. What if you began to notice what you could notice about all of the different energies in your world, whether that was the bricks on the side of a building, or the bark on the tree, or the scent of flowers, or the sounds of dogs playing, or the smoothness of your beautiful car, or the nice leather seats in your beautiful car. You have nice leather seats in your beautiful car. Go into your kitchen and play with different glassware and plates. Some glasses have like different finish to them. So if you can begin to include your body and just receive the information and let yourself begin to have more of your own awareness about what is pleasure for you, I wonder if you will notice how much more possibilities begin to show up for you to actually be having pleasure. And would you be willing to allow yourself to have that? And it doesn't have to be in any type of sexual, or what we would call in conventional conversation, a sexual application, okay, or a sexual way. And yet, our bodies are creatures of, oh, what's that word? Our bodies are naturally curious, okay? And our bodies actually thrive on that communion and communication with the elements, whether that's silk sheets, a warm bath, or another body, or you know, fine undergarments, or running through the park. Our bodies actually receive a great deal from the environment we're in. And if we're willing to allow more of that to be becoming our norm, I wonder if you will actually begin to see your bodies make some changes.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder how much more you could be enjoying your living if you were willing to be allowing that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eleanor, who said she's expanding her pleasure beyond food. Awesome. So all of the, speaking of silos, which is, you know, all of the camps or the boxes or the, what's another word? All of that I'm going to stay within this little realm right here. All of the silos you've created for yourself pleasure that you won't allow it to eke out into new areas and new spaces and new places, would you now be willing to maybe even look over the fence? Like, I wonder if there's anything over there that might be pleasurable for me. I wonder if somebody over there has some pleasure for me. Like, would you be willing to expand your walls and expand your boundaries, and see if there's other stuff that's pleasurable? So speaking of bodies, beautiful. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Eleanor. You rock. Speaking of bodies, so I have an event next week in Austin, a speaking event, and my body's made it very clear, the stuff in the closet, it's time to get some new stuff. And I had some points of view about all kinds of stuff. That's for another show. But I took my body shopping for the last couple of days, and yesterday it was so funny. I had a point of view that we were going to buy dresses. And we were looking, and I tried on some really killer dresses. I'm like, damn, body, rock those curves. But I would ask my body, would you like for me to take this home? And she'd say nope. And I'd be like, but it looks so good. And then I put it on another one on. I'm like, damn, I really like this body. Will you make me money? Nope. I'm like, what? So if you guys haven't heard this, I ask everything that comes into my space because I want my space and everything within it to contribute to me and allow me to contribute to it. So I ask, body, do you want it? I ask the item if it wants us, and then I ask if it's going to make me money. Just looking for a lightness and expansiveness, because I've done it both ways, and it's a whole lot more fun when it's all a yes. So I'm like, body, we have to have new stuff for the stage event we're doing. She's like, I know. So we're walking, and out of the side of my eye, friends, I had such a point of view about this. There were suits, like two-piece and, suits. And I was like, that's my corporate. Like, I went back to corporate, and I'm like, but body, that's really structured and right? So I walk over, and there's this cute-ass jacket, and it had zippers on it, and it was funky. It was a little edgy, which is what I like. And I was like, ooh, body, do you want that? Yes. I asked the jacket, would you like us? Yes. Will you make me money? Yes. I try it on. I'm like, woo! So, right? Like, you guys get the energy of the lightness of this. I had a point of view that we were going to go the dresses angle, and my body's like, hey, would you please listen to me? And so I walked out of there with like 6 items that lit my body up. And I'm wearing one of them. I'm wearing a new blouse today. It's got these really fun.
I love that.
And so, like, I could see myself on the stage in these items, and like, it just expanded everything about my universe, right? And I had a point of view about like how old I am and what image I'm portraying and blah, blah, all this shit, right? Like, I'm not allowed to look this way, but I'm allowed to look, fuck it, out the window. Body knows. Your body knows. And if you're willing to start to communicate with your body will show you things that were beyond your comprehension, were beyond your imagination. And when in the process, you'll feel a hell of a lot better. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, play with it.
Definitely. Yeah, this question is kind of bubbling as you're talking. And it's like, we hear the word comfort zone quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder, would you be willing to play, this could be home play, play with the
I'm
question,
writing it down.
How much pleasure am I allowing in my comfort zone?
Oh, how much comfort are you allowing in your comfort zone? Okay.
How much pleasure am I allowing in my comfort zone, and how much pleasure could be available beyond my comfort zone? So interesting word, comfort. So what is comfortable and what is pleasurable? And isn't it interesting? Because the sort of the first impression that I get, the sense that I get, is that for many of us, what we have identified and sort of entrained ourselves to in our comfort zone is actually not pleasurable for us.
Yeah.
So how much comfort are we trying to maintain that actually prevents us from our pleasure? Wow, that's
okay.
massive.
I gotta jot that one out. I gotta find like a piece of paper.
Okay, so that following the energy thing we were talking about, folks, that's like what we just became aware of when we asked that question, was this massive amount.
Can you remember that? Can you repeat it?
It's moving really fast. So how much pleasure is allowed in your comfort zone,
Got
and
that
how
one.
much pleasure is available beyond your comfort zone, and how much of our comfort are we trying to maintain that actually prevents us from our pleasure, from having pleasure?
Beautiful.
Wow.
So everything that is, take a deep breath in, y'all. Blow it out, let it go, let it move.
Are you willing to choose beyond your comfort zone? So what if pleasure could be comfortable? And everywhere you just went to graphic pictures of sexual positions, you could include that. And what about the comfort of pleasure of the food, the comfort of pleasure of fine clothing, the comfort of pleasure of things that are yummy for you, like
what is it that's sticky about the word comfort? What is that?
What have we defined comfort as?
Yeah, and what's beyond comfort? Like, because as you're, how much do I confuse pleasure and comfort as being the same? Okay,
Yeah,
cool. Thank
great
you.
awareness.
Awesome. So everything that is, just take a deep breath in, blow it out,
Ooh.
move to something different now. So, truth, what is that stickiness about comfort? Holy moly, whatever that is. I don't have a word for it right now. I'm just acknowledging that there's a
Wow.
stickiness, like as Keisha was talking. So, this is how we work through stuff. This is how we play with things, friends. As we're talking, we're flowing along, and then, like, it's almost like the rubber won't move. It's just like, so I'm like, what is that? And just kind of speaking, to the energy of that. So I'll play with that offsite, but that's how we roll.
Fabulous awareness. Yeah. And it kind of went sideways. It went thunk.
Yeah.
And it was like, huh.
So my question for you, friends, is what's beyond comfort? Like, what else is available? What else is possible?
Are you allowed to go beyond comfort?
Ah, truth.
Wow.
No, that's a no for a lot of people.
There's a resistance to that. There's a massive resistance to that.
So,
okay,
wow.
So what, so is it safety? Is it protection? Is it you're not going to get too much attention? Is it you won't draw fire? Wow. So everywhere you're unwilling, for all of us who this might apply for, everywhere we're unwilling to actually seek the pleasure, choose the pleasure, explore pleasure, and allow pleasure to be present in our lives, be a part of our lives, allow pleasure to be a reality for ourselves. Everywhere we're resisting that. For all of you who are willing, would you be willing to choose beyond what you have allowed that to be in your life? Everywhere you've made that real and solid and fixed and permanent. Yeah. So pleasure is like the uncomfortable.
Yeah. And did you see what Eleanor, comfort food, right? Like huge awareness. Thank you for that. It's like,
that's awesome.
So, wow. What have we right? Bastardized? Like where has comfort been manipulated? Like, wow, this is like, okay.
There's a rule in comfort.
Yeah.
So everywhere that comfort is the best you could hope for. Everywhere that comfortable is the most you are allowed to have as your life. Ouch.
Oh, that's so light.
That's crazy. So light. That we do this. Oh my freaking God. Everywhere that is something you have defended to create as your reality. Vehemently, okay, defiantly defended to create as your reality. Are you ready to have something different?
Yes, please.
Okay. So now that we're going to do a little weird woo-woo stuff here, because this is big, folks.
Put your woo-woo hat on.
All of the molecules that are now able to be tapped into and turned to change this with ease for everybody who's willing to receive it. Let's just ask them to turn. You don't have to know anything in your brain. This is not about your brain. This is just about if you're willing to receive this energy, let's choose it now. Wow.
Holy moly.
So everywhere comfortable has been the rule and the best you could hope for. What if there is actually way more beyond your comfort zone? And what if you are totally allowed to explore that and even choose it if you desire? Yeah.
Ooh, this is cracking up so much information. It's so funny. Oh my gosh. And when you guys are finding yourself, can we see you? No, we can't see anybody's video. So, hi. It's just me and Keisha right now. If you want us to see you, we can maybe turn you on, but I'm grateful that you're here. So when you guys are up against or choosing anything, or you're experiencing something, whatever it is, would you be willing to check in? So truth, am I choosing this from comfort? Yes, no, maybe, light, heavy, whatever your indicator is. And don't judge it. We're not asking you to judge it. Just acknowledge where you are and then be willing to ask, like, is it actually pleasurable for me? Truth, is there pleasure in this for me? and get just clear. Like, friends, if you're not willing to be aware of what you're actually choosing and creating, you're going to keep doing the autopilot thing, the auto responder thing. Oh, she's making all these faces and gestures thinking you can see me. Well, we'll receive it. Is that bringing you pleasure? I hope that's bringing you pleasure, because it makes me giddy knowing that. Like, it totally lights me up. But friends, yeah, this is about becoming more aware of where you're functioning and how you're functioning. So I have been making some choices in my personal life lately that found me, when I finally acknowledged I'm doing this out of repetition and habit and comfort, and guess what? It wasn't making me happy. But it wasn't until I said, oh, it's time for me to choose something different, and ask, cool, what would be more fun for me? What would bring me more pleasure, that I could then start to choose into that. So friends, just acknowledge where you are. If it's working for you, keep doing it. If it feels good, keep doing it. If it brings you pleasure, keep doing it. If it doesn't, would you be willing to choose something different? You are allowed. I'm giving you permission. Keisha's giving you permission.
I totally
you are allowed.
I totally
cool?
The goddesses have spoken. Honey, get ready. Now, here's another point that just popped in as you were talking, and as we were all like clearing. Thank you, everyone who's willing to be changing this now and in the future. Thank you. Do you have any sense or idea of how much of an impact you're having on all of our lives, and how much freedom you are opening the door to for yourself, as well as for many of us who desire to be able to choose more? I want to ask you to look at this energy of how much more generative is pleasure than comfort. So when we're willing to allow pleasure to be a part of our lives, a part of our creating, how much more of that vitality and vibrancy can become available to you and becomes a part of what gets created with what you're choosing. Okay? So comfort is comfort. Comfort is familiar. Okay? And how generative is comfort? And how much more generative could pleasure be? And would you be willing to play with that? And I am going to kind of apply this now in a more sexual context, because it really sort of waved at me about how we don't allow ourselves pleasure with physical sex. We don't allow ourselves to go beyond what is comfortable for us. And when we do, it's more, for many of us, it's more from a place of that pushing ourselves, which does not allow us to have the pleasure of what we're experiencing. So would you be, for those of you who are willing and curious, would you be willing to allow this to take place for you if you are choosing sex and copulation, physical sex? If you are in a relationship, if you do have a lover and you are playing with another person in a body, would you be willing to allow this to apply for you in that part of your life as well? And I wonder if you were willing to allow for more pleasure, if that too could be way more generative for you and your life and perhaps your businesses and your bank accounts.
So let me give you the English version for those of you who are visual like me. For those of you who do sex with your playmate once a week, maybe it's Tuesday, since today's Tuesday, right? So if you do vanilla sex on Tuesday, that might be comfort, okay? So what if you want to, if you're a lady, I'll speak since I'm a lady. If you go to your man, if you play with a man or your woman or whoever you play with, you go to your partner and you say, baby, I know it's Wednesday, but I feel like getting a little freaky. Would you play with me here? And like, baby, if you want to go doggy or you want to flip the position and you want to do beyond missionary, like that might be pleasure for you. But if you're stuck in vanilla Tuesday once a week with your playmate, how you going to know? So again, a lot of this goes to, am I allowed to actually ask for what I desire? Am I actually allowed to speak? Like, hey, I don't know if I've never done this. Can we try this? Like, how much? So I just had to go there.
Wow,
so I'm inviting you to go beyond vanilla if you'd like to get outside your comfort zone. you're allowed to use your voice. You're allowed to ask for something different. You're allowed to ask for what you might like. And you might try it and it may not be for you, or maybe not be for you that day or with that partner, and that's okay. Choice creates awareness, friends. Yeah.
Beautiful. Holy moly. We may have to do part 2 of this.
Totally. We got 5 freaking minutes left. Hang on. What if I've been
just
comfortable and happy, sad, miserable, lonely, fearful? Wow, 2 different things.
wow.
Thanks for the feedback. I'm so grateful you're playing.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, how much of us are comfortable in our sadness, in our misery, in our loneliness, are we really? Like, what's available beyond this, right? And friends, you're not going to change anything until you are good and gosh darn ready to change it. I will tell you that now. But these are just seeds. These are invitations. We're planting the seeds that when you're ready, you can choose something different. Totally. Yes. Thank you. Holy moly. Yeah, we need to have a part 2.
We have covered some ground today, friends. Amen? Oh my goodness. How much more freedom is available to you now?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so grateful. This is freaking amazing, you guys. And if you ever wondered what difference one conversation could make, holy freaking frittata rolly. I mean...
Ooh, frittata, that sounds nice.
I love my wordy stuff.
So friends, we've been playing for 57 minutes. Would you please check in with your body right now? How are you? Do you have more space? Are you lighter? Do you have a sense of ease that may not have been there? Like, just check in where you are now versus where you were 57 minutes ago. Like, things can change that quickly. We are allowed to change that quickly. So just check in. Yeah. What do we want to leave them with, Keisha? What do we want them to know before we go?
This playing with this comfort zone thing is huge.
Yes.
Are you allowed to go beyond your comfort zone? However that looks for you. Would you be willing to play with that this week? Will I allow myself to go beyond everything I know, everything I've defined this as, and everything I've ever been willing to allow myself to choose? And what would that be like if I were willing to choose it? And just play. Just play. And I do believe that we could play some more with, are you allowed to ask for what you desire? So this whole thing about allowing and desire, like really being in touch with and having awareness of what do we each desire? Not just like, oh, I think I want a cup of coffee right now. Although a cup of coffee can be really freaking fabulous. What do you desire? Like, what turns you on? Yeah. What totally lights your fire and your body up? And if you have not been willing to allow yourself to know, would you be willing to maybe change that 10% or 50% or 92%? Yeah. How much more of our lives become available to us when we're willing to actually receive it.
Right.
And a huge part of that is desire and allowance.
Yeah. And for all of those of us who didn't think we were allowed to have desires, to speak them, to ask for them, it is an ask and receive universe. And our thoughts create things. They do. So if you have desires, they are in you for a reason. And you are allowed to speak them, even if just to yourself for right now, even if just in your journal, however you articulate to you to express it. I'm inviting you, I'm imploring you, I am like, would you please find what those desires are for yourself and speak them into existence.
Yes.
Please.
Yes. Wow. Okay, and I'm going to ask one more thing. This is an ask on my part now.
Okay.
Will you, if for all of you who are seeing these and playing with us, if this is a value for you, I'm just going to ask you to mention it on social media. We're not making very many of these videos available to open public for at least 6 months after we record them. So I just would love to know if folks really if you're receiving something from these conversations, would you share? We're distributing invitations for people to sign up, and I believe there is a link that's in our emails. If there's not, I think we can add it, that you can actually share on social media, and invite friends to come play with us. The more of us that can be willing to have these conversations, the more we can be exploring and changing and creating. And that is our desire, to be reaching people and really being the invitation to have a conversation that might not make any freaking sense whatsoever, that might be so like wacky, weirdo, woo-woo, you can't even imagine. And what if those conversations totally change what's possible for us? Today, this whole comfort zone thing and the rules, these crazy wackadoo rules, oh my God, so yes, I'm just going to ask you, if you enjoy this, we don't charge for these shows, but we do pay for them. So it would be a wonderful, wonderful contribution for us, for any of you who want to share this on your social media and give us a mention. And thank you for all of those of you who do. You're not required. You don't have to. You are allowed to choose what you want to do with that. And we appreciate you either way. We just appreciate you showing up and being a part of creating these conversations. And Rhonda, I just don't have words for how grateful I am that you were playing with me in this venue. Thank you. Thank you.
I will receive that, and I will reflect that back to you. Just, and it's so funny, like the unconventional conversations to unfuck your life. I will tell you that the greatest contributions to my life are those conversations that are weird and out there and beyond imagination, but they shift the most for me. And so for those of you who are courageous enough to play with us in this venue or on our shows or wherever you play with us, like the level of courage of the different type of person you are, like I'm just gonna shout, give you a holla, like you guys rock.
Totally.
The world has lots of rules and form and structure and like your willingness to choose to even consider a different conversation or possibility, like there's something very unique and brilliant and magical about you. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you. And Keisha, like the gratitude I have for the space that you hold, and just like, and even if some of this stuff doesn't land for you word-wise, friends, just notice how you feel. Do you feel lighter than when you came in? Do you feel like happier? Did you laugh a little? Did you laugh at us? Like whatever. Like I just like to feel good. And so
at the very least, let us entertain you at the very least.
Like life is too short to be unhappy and to be dense and contracted. Like find things that lift you up, people. Find things that light you up. Find things that feel good to you. I don't care if it's juggling clowns on like, I don't care what it is. Like if it feels good, try it. Choose it. You're
because
totally
you are allowed.
You're totally.
Maybe I should. You're not allowed. You're not allowed.
Oh, that's right.
Let's see if that is.
You're not allowed.
You're not allowed.
I can't even do it with a straight face.
I know. Okay, friends, we've gone a few minutes over, and this was so worth for me today. This has been so worth having this conversation, and thank you, everyone. Oh my gosh, mwah, mwah. If I could
big
put
hug.
little floaty hearts across the screen, I would be doing that.
Exactly.
So I'm just sending energetic floaty hearts to you.
So we will get you the email with the link, and that'll be keep checking your spam folders because that's probably where it's landing right now. You can find each of us on Facebook. You can find us on our A to Zen.fm shows. Potency is my game on Wednesdays, Living Well on Fridays. Friends, let us know what you require, desire, what's your pleasure. Let us know. We're so grateful for you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic week. How much more are you willing to allow yourself to choose, be, have, receive, create? Go for it. We adore you, and we'll see you next week on Sexually Speaking.
Bye.